Hello, and thanks for joining us from our studios in Tel Aviv. Coming up in today's newscast, 2 more Israelis are wounded in terror attacks. Isra-aid sets out to help victims of the Taiwan earthquake, and ILTV has an exclusive interview with a member of the Knesset. I'm Natasha Kirchak here with the latest news in Israel. An Israeli soldier was stabbed by a terrorist this morning in southern Israel, just outside a bus station in Ashkelon. The 20-year-old soldier was taken to a local hospital with light wounds to his upper body. The attack took place near Ashkelon's central bus station, and the attacker attempted to escape but was soon tracked down by another soldier. The troop ran after the attacker for nearly 1 mile and managed to shoot and subdue him. The terrorist has now reportedly died from his wounds, and police have determined the attack was nationalistic in nature. Meanwhile, police are still searching for the attacker who stabbed a 65-year-old Jewish woman yesterday in the Bedouin town of Rahat. Shlomit Ganon was moderately wounded while shopping in the town's open market with her family, and police are treating the stabbing as a terrorist attack. Eyewitnesses claim that an Arab man around 20 years old stabbed Ganon in the neck before fleeing the scene. Security forces have set up roadblocks in the area and are conducting widespread searches for the assailant. Police believe the attacker is a Palestinian from the West Bank who entered Israel illegally, but he was wearing a mask during the attack. There are over 7,000 undocumented Palestinians working in Rahat, and now Israeli authorities are beginning to crack down on the Bedouin town. The Israeli Prime Minister is blasting 3 Arab Israeli Knesset members for meeting with the families of 10 different terrorists last week. The Arab Israeli lawmakers Jamal Zahalka, Hanin Zoabi, and Basel Gattas met with the families of terrorists whose bodies have not yet been released by Israeli authorities. Their mission was to comfort and listen to the suffering of the relatives. They even visited the father of Baha Alian, who killed 3 people in a Jerusalem terror attack last October. Prime Minister Netanyahu is outraged by the Knesset members from the Arab Balad party and says they don't deserve to be in the Knesset. At the same time, Knesset Speaker Yuli Edelstein is shocked by their audacity and says he cannot believe Knesset members are comforting the relatives of terrorists while innocent civilians continue to be slaughtered on Israeli streets. Edelstein doesn't have the authority to punish the lawmakers, but the Israeli Ethics Committee is determining whether or not they can be suspended for violating Knesset law. The scandal comes just days after Palestinian Media Watch uncovered a Facebook post featuring a video of Baha Alian's father calling his son a martyr. Knesset member Amir Ohana is a former member of the Shin Bet and currently serves in the government as part of the Likud party. We have the pleasure of having him in the studio with us today to discuss this weekend's controversial events. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me, Natasha.
So we see that this wave of terror is continuing in Israel and it doesn't seem to be stopping. Attacks are even happening in central Israel as well. Why isn't it ending?
Well, the terror attacks did not begin 4 months ago. They did not even begin at 1967 or 1948. We are facing an Arab terror that is more than 100 years old here in Israel, when the Arabs did not accept the fact that we as Jews came back to our home, to our land of Israel. We have ups and downs with the terror. Now is, of course, a bad time, but we knew worse time before, and we were strong, and we should be strong and face this terror the same way. We should fight it, and we should fight everyone who supports it. And the 3 MKs, Zahalka, Zoabi and Ghattas demonstrated that they are on the side of terror.
So I want to get into that a little bit more later, but as a member of Likud, do you think that the government is doing enough right now to combat the current terror?
Yeah, the government has done things that have never been done before, like taking the Islamic movement out of the law and filing indictments for incitement in the net, which is something we have seen very much recently. The government, for my view, should allow more and more citizens to carry weapons. which is something that in Israel, not everyone knows, is very, very difficult. In the United States, just for example, 100% of the citizens have weapons. Of course, one has 5 weapons and 5 others has none at all. But statistically, we're talking about 100% of carrying weapons. In Israel, it's between 2 to 4%. So we are not anywhere near the United States. What we should do is that every Israeli citizen who has no criminal records, with no medical situation that could prevent him from carrying a firearm, and who serves in the reserve army, which means that they get a weapon from the state for 30 days each year, and the state says, come on, guard the state. These kind of people cannot get license for firearms, which is wrong, I think, because we are facing a very harsh situation where we need the help of these citizens to protect themselves and the environment. We know that we cannot have a police squad in every street corner.
So what do you say to the critics that say allowing more guns on the streets is actually going to promote more violence in the end?
It could prevent more violence, because we are facing violence, we are facing terror. People are being stabbed and shot in the land of Israel, but our citizens, the law-keeping citizens, cannot protect themselves properly. And this is why I think we should support my idea, and this is what I'm going to do, one of the things I'm going to do in the Knesset.
In this legislation, how are you ensuring that people who have access to guns know how to use them correctly and are, mentally stable and aren't going to use them for the wrong reasons?
It's very important. Exactly, it's very important. Actually, today, people who carry firearms, who have license to carry firearms, need to train only once every 3 years. So my idea would be to triple the training, at least for once a year, which will make them more trained. As well as I said before, I want people who get license for firearms are those people who serve in the army, so they know how to use weapons, they know how to respect weapons and how to be cautious with weapons, because it is very important to prevent accidents and criminal activities that could happen with weapons. But we need to remember, we are facing a situation that the United States or no other place on earth faces with this terror, and we should fight it.
So let's go back to what you were talking about before with the 3 Arab Israeli lawmakers. We saw that over the weekend, 3 of these lawmakers actually went to visit the families of terrorists, and the Israeli government was outraged. Why did this happen? Can you explain this to us?
Yes. When you come to visit a terrorist family, and when you stand out of respect for the terrorist, this is incitement. This is something that we call supporting terror. And by the Israeli law, by the Israeli basic law of the Knesset, a party or a nominee for the Knesset who supports terror cannot serve in the Knesset. And this is why we are outraged. We are all trying, left and right, by the way, we are all trying to fight terror. We are trying to keep the flames down. And this is not a matter of right or left. It's a matter of right or wrong. It's a matter of, do you support terror or do you oppose terror? And this is why MK Ksenia Svetlova from the Zionist camp, which is the left party, the left major party of Israel, and myself as a member of Likud, which is the largest right-wing party, filed a complaint to the ethics committee together. We were the first one to do it, and I'm glad to see that other MKs did it as well, to show that it is not a partisan matter. It's not a matter of right or left. It's a matter of a wide consensus in Israel. We should fight terror, we should condemn terror, and surely we should not support it.
But does the government have the ability to punish these lawmakers for visiting these families?
Actually, we have done so before, because as I said, by the Knesset basic law, those kind of people cannot be nominated for the Knesset, cannot serve there. But as soon as the Knesset done it, they filed for the Supreme Court, which overruled their decision. So I think it was a mistake when it was done before, and I hope by the next elections, when we will try again to prevent them from running to the Knesset, I hope the Supreme Court for this time will realize that these kind of people who support terror does not belong to the Knesset. However, I can find one good reason or one good benefit from their being in the Knesset, so that the Israeli people would know who we are facing. These people were not voted by the Swedes or the Norwegians. They were voted to the Knesset by Israeli Arabs. And the voice that they are, that we hear from them is a voice that is being heard and that exists with some, not all, of course not all, but some of the Israeli Arab population. And it's important that we realize that.
So, changing topics for a second, you're Israel's first openly gay lawmaker in the Likud party, and it obviously wasn't easy to get there. How has this shaped your political career and your rise in the Likud party? People here don't seem to understand how you can have this identity and also serve in a conservative party.
Well, I think in Israel, unlike anywhere else in the world, when you're talking about right and left, you primarily talk about where do you stand on the Israeli-Arab conflict. When you talk about it in the world, you talk about right and left, you talk about social issues, economy issues, but here we have a very, very unique situation. And the first thing is, where do you stand on the Israeli-Arab conflict? When do you stand on the security issues? Where do you stand? And this is why I think there is no contradiction between being a right-wing supporter and even a hawkish right-wing supporter, and yet support not only LGBT rights, but human rights in general. So in 2011, myself and some Likud colleagues, Likud friends of mine, raised our caucus, our LGBT caucus. And now, 5 years later, it is not only the biggest caucus, but it's also the most influential one, more than the left-wing caucuses who exist for much longer. Because first of all, we are working from the ruling party of Israel, the very center consensus of Israel. And second, we are in the coalition. I'm the first openly gay member of any coalition in Israel. So I hope we can promote LGBT rights as well as keeping the safety of the citizens of Israel without any contradiction between the two.
Well, I'm looking forward to see what you do as part of Likud, and hopefully we'll have you back here again.
Thank you so much, Natasha. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks so much for coming in. The Israeli relief organization Isra-aid is gearing up to send a team to Taiwan to help the victims of a deadly 6.4 magnitude earthquake that took place yesterday. The quake struck the Taiwanese city Tainan just before dawn on Saturday, killing 14 people so far. 340 people have been rescued from the rubble, but more than 100 people are still missing. The Israeli relief organization Isra-aid specializes in search and rescue operations around the world, and now they'll be sending a team to Taiwan to locate victims and survivors. The 12-person group will join relief teams that are already on the ground.
针对有10几个人在进行救援。这目前救援呢，包括来自其他县市的特搜队都来进行协助了。
It's Super Bowl Sunday, and if you're already betting on which team will win, you're not alone. 2 American rabbis have also made a special bet about which team will take home the trophy. If you think you've heard all there is to know about the Super Bowl, you might be in for a surprise. 2 rabbis from Charlotte, North Carolina and Denver, Colorado are asking their community members to contribute to a bet they made about the Super Bowl. Before you start thinking these rabbis have a gambling problem, we should tell you that there's a special catch to their bet. Everyone wins. Rabbi Judith Schindler and Rabbi Joe Black say that the proceeds from the wager will go to the needy in both of their communities. Now that's one mitzvah we can get on board with.
So why would two rabbis from two different cities place such a public bet on the Super Bowl 50? Because we are calling it the Super Mitzvah 50. The funds that we earn will be divided between two great causes. If and when the Panthers win, 2/3 of the funds raised will go to our Shalom Park Freedom School that serves 18 students from low-income families throughout the summer, increasing their literacy and giving them an experience of a lifetime. And if, in the unforeseen, unpredicted circumstance that the Broncos win, then 2/3 of the funds will go to their selected cause of Jewish family services and providing meals to those who are hungry. Either way, both cities win.
And now for our Hebrew word of the day. In honor of Super Bowl Sunday, today's word is mishchak, or game in Hebrew. Mishchak comes from the verb lesachek, which means to play. In Hebrew, the word mishchak can also be used to describe toys or to say that someone is acting in a play or a movie. You can also use a word to say mishchak yeladim, which means child's play, and is used to describe something that's really easy. Now let's get back to how Israelis use mishchak to talk about games. While Israelis might not be as passionate about the Super Bowl, they love sports. From basketball to water polo to soccer, Israelis love joining in on the mishchak. But most of all, Israelis love filling up bars to watch their favorite sports. So believe me, it's no mishchak to find a seat on game night in Tel Aviv. On that note, let's go ahead and take a look at the weather forecast, because you literally might not make it into an Israeli bar for the Super Bowl. The good news is that the rain is clearing up. Monday is expected to be partly cloudy with a high of 60 degrees. The sun should come out on Tuesday, and the temperature will go up to 65. All right, everybody, that's it for today's news. Today's exchange rate is 3.88 shekels to the American dollar. Remember to sign up for our daily newsletter at ILTV.tv, and don't forget to check out our evening update every night at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.